So now that we should have kind of the overall layout and understanding of how to navigate around the program, to an extent at least, we're going to jump into the basics of creating shapes, inserting text, and inserting images. So I'm just going to go to my first slide again here. I'm going to click my Fit to Window icon and adjust this. All right, so creating shapes, we want to insert something. So again, we're going to start over here at our Insert tab. And you can see that there is a shape drop down right here. I'm just going to hover over that and click. And you see there's multiple options to choose from. I'll just take a rounded rectangle for now. And you see that my cursor turns into a cross. And I'm just going to hold down and drag. And there you go. There's my shape. You can see that this Format tab is now visible. If I just double click on my object, the Format tab is going to appear rather than having to go up there and click on it. So whenever I want to edit something, you can just typically double click on it. If I want to change my shape, fill, I can just come over here and select one of these colors. Same with my outline. I can change the weight, make a really thick outline there. Change it to another color. Again, we're not going to go into too much detail here because I know these are really simple tasks that you guys have probably all done in PowerPoint. One thing I want to point out, you see a little yellow diamond shape there, and you can hover over that and move it right or left to actually adjust the amount of the roundness of the corners. So you can see I can almost make it like a circle, or I can almost make it like a square just by adjusting that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this, pressing Control-C, Control-V, make another one here, and I can rotate that one by just hovering over the green circle. You get a little arrow up there and just going like that. You can also rotate using this rotate option here, flipping them, rotating them right or left 90 degrees, and further options if you go ahead and click on this option here. Another item is adjusting the size. There's a couple ways to do that other than just, clicking on the sides and dragging up or down. You can use these little up and down arrows right here that adjust just the height or just the width. Notice it's not adjusting it proportionately. So how I usually like to adjust my size and change the position is by right-clicking and choosing this option that says Size and Position right here. The reason I like to do this is, so I'm going to click on my size tab up here. You have the option to lock your aspect ratio, which means that when you adjust the height, it's also adjusting the width. But the main reason I like using this is for the position option. So when you tab over with your arrows, it jumps a few pixels, and sometimes you can't get it exactly where you want it. For instance, I can't get it to line up with that guide exactly. But if I come over here to my position tab, I can just click on the arrows and it just goes over pixel by pixel, and now I can get it perfectly aligned there. Okay, and then the same thing with your vertical axis. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And we have our basic align and arrange tools, bring forward or send backward. Maybe I want to, that one's already forward, so I'm going to click send to back, and now you can't see it at all. Now notice it also arranges itself on the timeline when you do that. So another way to arrange them is just by dragging it to the top right here on your timeline. That's one of the easiest ways actually. Okay. And grouping is another very useful function that we use here. So I'm going to go ahead and select both of these items by holding down my Shift key. And you can see they're both highlighted down there on my timeline. Now I'm going to go ahead and right-click, and I'm just going to click Group. And now you see that on my timeline, that just became one layer instead of two. Now this didn't really become one object, it's still two objects, which you can edit and change just by pulling down this little arrow that appeared when we grouped them. So now you'll see we do have both rectangles. That way, if you wanted to change the timing of them, they could still come in at different times. Or if you wanted to edit any of them individually, you would just, click on one. They don't have to stay as one object. If you wanted to ungroup, you could just click on, you could see they have a bounding box now. Make sure that's selected and right-click, and then it's going to give you the option to ungroup. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, one other option actually I want to show you really quickly is changing the shape, which I find very convenient. If you've applied maybe all of these effects that you want to apply, but then you realize, okay, maybe I want this to be a circle, you have the option to do that. So you can just go ahead and up here, select change shape, and I want it to be a circle or oval, and there you go. Now you have an oval instead of a rectangle. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward on inserting text. So I'm going to select both of these and just go ahead and delete them or cut them. Oops. Okay. So again, we're going to go back to our Insert tab here. And there's this option here that says text box. I'm going to click on that. Again, my cursor becomes an arrow, across, I'm sorry. And there's two options of how you can create a text box. First one is all you have to do is just click, and you have a very small text box which just expands as you type. So you can't see my text because it is dark. I'm going to go ahead and just change it up here to white. Again, I don't think we need to go over all of our text options here because it's just similar to any word processor or PowerPoint. But you can see that I have my text here, and when I highlight it, this little option box comes up, which is convenient if, maybe you have some text down here, you can just adjust it right over there rather than coming up here. I'm just going to select this to make it a little bigger so everyone can see. So I can also create a text box by clicking and dragging. An easy way to create centered text is just by dragging all the way out here. Again, clicking sample, and then centering your text and aligning it here. Okay. Another way to align your text to the center would just be to go ahead and click on that, and you would click your Arrange tab, then you have Align, and you can click Center. And you know that this is going to align to the center of the slide because this option down here is checked that says Align to Slide. So I just click Center here, and there's two separate ways to get your centered text. Okay. Now I also want to point out if you have more than one word, when you're editing your text, you want to make sure, if I just have my cursor in here and I select bold, it's only going to make that one word bold rather than my whole text box. So you need to make sure that either your entire text box is selected by just selecting on the bounding box, might make it easier for you to see, or to highlight all of the text and then change that. Okay. You also have case options over in your home where you can make everything uppercase, change it back to lowercase, or leave it as sentence case. And you also have the option to create a drop shadow on your text. There's a little S here with a shadow. You can select that, and that puts a nice little shadow there for titles. All right. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. And now I'm going to move on to inserting images.